What's up, gorgeous? Welcome back to another video. This is another episode of Soul Searching, and it's a St. Patrick's Day special. Since it is St. Patrick's Day, I am going to be doing a leprechaun look. I'll be talking about the myth behind the leprechaun and telling some cool facts about it. And I think there'll be a surprising twist towards the end. So let's get gorgeous. In Irish folklore, leprechauns are actually a type of fairy. Leprechauns are typically depicted as bearded old men with buckled shoes, wearing green, although original versions were red. And they're usually wearing a hat that has 3 corners, although the hat I'm using today might look familiar. It's just like the bowler hat. There are no records or evidence of female leprechauns. Could be part of one of the origin stories, or that leprechauns are actually the unwanted or disfigured children of fairies that get abandoned because of their looks. Leprechauns were considered to have defective looking bodies because they were short and typically stout. But the origins of the leprechaun are definitely up for dispute. One legend traces leprechauns back to an 8th century water sprite whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It'll be popped up about there, which their name means small-bodied. So the legend says that they emerged with this other creature who was known for being a drunk and dwelling and haunting in cellars, because what's in the cellar? But this being, say that that's actually a close relative of the leprechaun, rather like where they came from. And others say that this creature is actually the night version of a leprechaun, so more drunker and crankier than ever. And some people believe that that night version of the leprechauns are like a completely different species. Like at night they just completely change into another creature. Say the word for leprechaun actually comes from the Irish of shoemaker. Again, not going to try to pronounce that. Is fitting because their occupation is the cobbler or shoemaker of the fairy world, which is very contradictive to have this very humble vocation while having this like lucrative obsession with money and riches, which because of this some actually consider them the bankers of the fairy world. So how did leprechauns become to be known as cobblers? So why cobblers over everything else? So they're considered to be descendants of this one god whose name changes depending on what source you're looking at. And when Christianity came to Ireland and pretty much the whole country converted, the god's importance diminished. He was no longer really needed and was demoted to a cobbler. So what does legend say regarding the riches? This differs depending on what your source is with all things. Some say if you do spot a leprechaun, you cannot take your eyes off of him or else he'll immediately disappear. Some say if you find one, he owes you 3 wishes. Isn't that the genie's job? If you catch a leprechaun, some legends say that you can barter his freedom for his riches. And of course, everyone knows where leprechauns keep their gold. At the end of a rainbow. But not always. But that's just what's typically associated with them. Despite what the incentive might be of finding a leprechaun, it's never going to be easy because leprechauns are notorious tricksters. So, continuing with the leprechauns don't always hide their money at the end of a rainbow. There's one tale where a man found a leprechaun and he took him to his stash. It was buried at the base of a tree, but the man didn't have a shovel or anything, so he marked the tree in the spot with a red garter. And then he left to go get a shovel, and he came back to find that every tree in that area, which was a wooded area, so a lot, had a red garter. Can I just say that I love that this leprechaun took the time, or maybe he didn't even need to because he's magical, but to put a garter on every single tree instead of just taking the one off. But there's a variety of what leprechauns really are in pop culture. So to start, you have Lucky, the mascot for General Mills cereal Lucky Charms. Not sponsored, but there's even a Disney movie portraying leprechauns. It was like made in 1959. Yes, called Darby O'Gill and the Little People. And a self-proclaimed Disney fanatic as I am, I didn't know this movie existed until like 30 minutes ago. And then you have the complete flip side of leprechauns, and the Leprechaun series featuring this maniac killer leprechaun. So the story of the leprechaun is supposed to like warn you of trying to get rich quick, but I really think it just makes people want to go find a leprechaun. I mean, don't we all just hope to have our own little green guy one day? Like, keep him in your pocket and just wait for... Wait! Give me a second. Sorry to just leave like that. I know it's like just a second for you. But I thought of another Disney movie that had a leprechaun. It's called The Luck of the Irish. I just couldn't remember the name of it. That one's got a mischievous leprechaun in it. Anyways, like I was saying, we would all just have our own little green guy, like chilling in our pocket. Throw us a gold coin whenever we needed to. There is a Leprechaun Colony in Portland, Oregon. The story behind this is, there was a pole, and one day the pole was just a hole in the ground, and this journalist was like, hey, I'm gonna do something about this. So what did journalist guy do? He put a couple flowers there and put a sign proclaiming that it was the world's smallest park. Now, as a journalist, he put a news column article in the paper about this Leprechaun Colony and all of their adventures. He said that they lived there. And then this drew a lot of attraction to the park. And like people started adding their own things to it. So eventually this little hole in the ground has a miniature pool complete with a diving board. So little leprechauns are living better than me. And then on St. Patty's Day, 1976, this park becomes an official city park. One nearby and probably from who knows where goes there on St. Patrick's Day to celebrate. Could there be more fact than fiction when it comes to leprechauns? If you ask Kevin Woods, there is. In 1989, there was this discovery that can only be described as a leprechaun suit, which was found alongside some very small bones and 4 gold coins. This discovery had split Ireland. So, of course, it split between the people who believe and don't believe. Skeptics called it this like elaborate hoax. Believers started looking for leprechauns. Kevin Woods was the chief behind this discovery. He full-heartedly believed that there were leprechauns. I'm sure he's not called the Leprechaun Whisperer for nothing. But he calls for a search party. And finally, in 2002, he finds in or near a stone wall more coins. Some people did not believe him and said that he planted the coins, and other people were like, wow, these really are real, they're really around this area. He claimed that these coins gave him the ability to talk to Name. He was an elder who was like over the leprechauns in the area. So he's able to talk to this guy. And he says that there's 236 leprechauns living in that area. So now every second Sunday of May, Woods leads these hunters in search of ceramic figurines hidden all around, and they have a hunt party looking for these fake leprechauns. In 2009, the 236 remaining leprechauns were granted protection under the European Habitat Directive. And so I scrapped the lips because I didn't like them, and then I redid them, and they looked a lot better, but I decided that it wasn't the look that I wanted to go for, so now we have these lips. So as we know, leprechauns are fairies. Fairies have pointed ears. I don't have pointed ears prosthetics, so I'm going to show you how to get it yourself. You're just going to need some lash glue. This is cheap kind that comes in my costume lashes. And you're just going to put it right, give it a second to kind of dry. And then pinch and hold. I've been holding it for about a minute, and there's our pointed leprechaun ear. And do the other side, be right back. That lash glue started burning my ear, so obviously I stopped, and I don't have any other lash glue at the moment because I don't normally wear lashes. But that tip does work. Just make sure that you're not putting yourself at any type of expense with anything you do. Especially when it comes to beauty products. Your skin will tell you when it's had enough. Appreciation for being protected under European law. The leprechauns apparently leave out little cauldrons for the hunters to find during the Caroline Bird National Leprechaun Hunt. So that's awfully nice of them. That leaves us with the question of, well, what do you think? Are leprechauns real? Are they just myth? Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Happy St. Patrick's to you and your family. I encourage you to look into some things because I tossed up a couple ideas before choosing to do the leprechaun. There's so many fascinating creatures in Irish mythology and folklore, so I mean, be curious and check out things that you don't know about. It can be fun. Also, if you want to check out some other stuff, if you haven't seen the other video where I use this hat, it's the Evil Snowman video, and it's part of the Christmas playlist. So if you're over St. Patrick's Day already and you want to go jump into another holiday, you can go to the Christmas playlist or check out the Valentine's Day video if you haven't seen that one yet. Pretty cool story there with Al Capone and some others. So have a gorgeous day.